I think it's it's going to become increasingly more common because I think as more and more tribal members become aware of these tribal courts, and even tribal members, a lot of people who are enrolled members of tribes don't live on their reservation. There's a huge Native American population here in the Twin Cities that are enrolled members of White Earth or Red Lake. These are northern Minnesota big tribes with big reservations, but they run into family law issues. And what's interesting, and I think where the big challenge is going to be and where there's going to be the most litigation is back to our topic of jurisdiction again, because oftentimes these cases will be ones where there is what we call concurrent jurisdiction, meaning this case could be brought either in state court or in tribal court. And if there's a conflict between the state and the tribal court, it may be a federal court that ultimately has to resolve the issue. So while family law attorneys have tended to shy away from federal court and they've tended to shy away from learning new areas of law in tribal court, they may get dragged into this because of that. A big part of my tribal court practice has been these complicated jurisdictional issues of trying to figure out which court can hear it. And if I can just give you an example, I'll be brief about it of how complicated it can get. I'm currently involved in a case where I've got a tribal member who is an enrolled member of a tribe here in Minnesota. His wife lives in another country. She also is an enrolled member. And she filed a divorce petition in her court in her country where she lives. My client filed a divorce petition in the tribal court where he lives. The wife countered with an action in federal district court saying her civil rights were violated by being brought into tribal court. And then we filed an action in the state court, district court, because if the tribal court wouldn't hear it, we would have preferred to be in the state court here in Minnesota rather than being in Canada, where this case was taking place. And so that tells you 4 possible courts. How do you decide which courts are going to resolve the issue? And there's no guidance on any of this. And so that's an aspect of tribal court that's very complicated, is because both courts could technically hear it. There's enough tie between the 2 courts, but somebody needs to decide who's going to hear it. And often it involves bringing the judges together into some kind of a conference where it's decided between the judges as to who's going to hear what issues. Many of these cases get separated out. Certain issues are going to be heard in tribal court, certain issues will be heard in state court or federal court, and then that's how you resolve the family court issue. But very challenging cases.